Now, in the midst of the global coronavirus pandemic, academic work has migrated online as schools remain closed indefinitely. But not all families have access to electricity, TV, phones, and computer to keep up with virtual learning, especially people in rural Ghana. At the Western Regional town of Banso, final junior high and senior high school students are worried that they may fail their final exams as they cannot access learning online. JoyNews' Henry Kwesibedu has the rest of the story.
The world is almost at a standstill following the outbreak of the dreaded coronavirus. Education has been badly affected too. With schools in Ghana now closed indefinitely, lessons have been moved online. Studying online is now the new normal in many urban and middle-class homes in Ghana. But the situation is different in many rural communities where access to electricity and internet remain a struggle. Virtual learning in these communities is not feasible. Banso, a community which is some 30 kilometers away from Western Region capital, is no exception. Many children loiter freely without any care. They said they have no idea that school continues online. Some JHS 3 students sit together, engaging in group discussions. They are worried that basic education certificate examinations may start immediately school resumes.
Sometimes you don't even know what to learn because the textbook have been a lot and you don't know even the subject or the topic, the actual topic you have to go for.
That's 15-year-old Anita Kwam, a BECE candidate. She has been home for the past month helping her mother to operate a local eatery in the community. With no access to internet, she is worried her performance in the upcoming exams would suffer.
We are even scared because we have not done with our syllabus, and sometimes we have to struggle because we are going to write a BECE with the cities, those in the cities that have access to the internet. And because we in the village, we don't have those access to the internet, so it makes our learning very difficult. And we pray that this disaster should come to an end before the day of our BECE comes.
Al-Hassan, senior high school 3 student, is worried. He tells me it is a real struggle learning on his own as some topics need further explanation and direction from tutors. With no access to a television, phone and internet, he struggles to access online lessons.
It is very, very difficult for us to learn. Sometimes, especially the calculating subjects, let's say the accounting, the costing, and the commerce. You solve some question, you suffer, you try it continuous, you solve it and you are not getting the answers. Sometimes you have to get a teacher or someone who knows more than you to teach you. But look at our locality. If you look around, who are you going to consult? And some of us too, our background is not all that good. And I've heard that they are learning going on online and television. And I don't have television at the same time, I don't have phone. So like, it's very, very difficult for us to learn.
Al-Hassan aspires to be a chartered accountant in the near future, but he is worried he may not pass the WASI if the current situation persists.
My goal or my aim is to become a chartered accountant. We are trying our possible best because this research is not easy. You take it to the whole Ghana, going to write the same paper and look at what I'm facing now. Some people are there learning, using their phone here and there. And it's not easy. We are all using the same certificate to enter the same universities. So someone there learning through social media, through television, and I'm here suffering. Sometimes it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Many students in rural communities want government to expand the online studies started by the Ministry of Education to community radio stations in the communities so they can catch up with their colleagues in urban Ghana.
The government have to extend the teaching and learning that is going on the television and online so that the FMs who are closer, so that you don't have the access to the television and the internet access. You can learn through it.
But Al Hassan has a wish.
If somebody donates or somebody will able to provide me a phone or what do you call it, a television, I will be much like, I'll be very happy.
If government fails to address concerns expressed by the students, inequalities on the education front would continue to widen. For JoyNews, Henry Kwesibedu's reports.
Well, we'll have a conversation on the back of this story. Joining us live now, Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah, joining us via Zoom. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, good morning.
Great. You know, first of all, your thoughts on the plight of these children, particularly in Ahanta West municipality, who can't get online for education.
Well, it's unfortunate that they have to go through that, and I personally feel that this is just the one aspect or one community that is going through that, but there are a lot of communities that are also experiencing same in terms of they are having access to such facilities in order for them to also learn. And if you clearly look at statistics, about 40% of people who are in secondary school come from rural communities. So it means that you are cutting about 40% of people out of it if they don't have access to it. So it also shows how weak the planning process was in terms of even deciding that they want to use the platform that they use in communicating, learning to children and all that. Then again, it also borders on data, availability of data for government to decide on which direction that it needs to go in terms of having an e-learning platform for children and all that. So these are basic things that for me did not work well, and it's putting some children at a disadvantaged position or making them more vulnerable.
Clearly, nobody prepared for this pandemic. We didn't know we would be here, even though some people already do the virtual learning. What options are available for these children?
Well, the options that should be available is so much dependent on availability of data and how the extent to which government want to go when reaching out to students. So, for instance, if you have decided on television, and you know that about the television will reach about 60% of people who are in secondary school or basic school, then that will be your target. And then also you need to also design app that would also reach about the 40% left in the rural communities. And if government is not in a position to do that, then we were expecting that government will rely heavily on the community communication system that they have or the community radio stations that they have in order to reach out to these children and all that. But this traditional system were not used in getting information to the children. So we are stick to the television, and that clearly shows that we've not done a comprehensive analysis on how to get to these children. For that matter, we think that just a mere fact that you would use television to do that, that is it. But there are also other TV stations that, in my work in the rural communities, catches their attention a lot, especially one of these local stations like Adum FM. Adum TV.
Adum TV, yes.
You go to the rural communities, they have access to it, UTV, they have access to it and all that. So government should not only rely on 8 state agencies in delivering some of these services, but also must have a partnership with the private sector to get information to these children, because, and this is so prominent when it comes to the showing of these soap opera films that they show, the Pagya and all that. I don't know the names properly, but it seems it's really catching up with children in the rural community. So if such a platform can provide some of these things and children can have access to some of these information, then the state must also be interested in using the private sector to communicate some of these things to the rural communities. By doing so, you limit yourself in terms of the number of people that you have to use app or other means to reach them. So the private sector engagement is very, very important. And then also development of certain apps that comes with a certain gadget that we can make available to these children so that they can also learn.
Speaking to the Ghana Education Service, when we get the understanding that, because things are still unfolding, they are still planning and having conversations and trying to catch up.
You see, that's where the issue is, because in any educational system, your preparedness is as equal as the product that you generate out of the system, and you should be ready for all kinds of emergencies, and this is one of them. And because of this COVID-19, I've done a lot of research in other countries, looking at how they are responding, especially their social response plans, as well as how they are responding to the educational system that they have. And clearly, one thing that stands out that nobody envisaged that a situation like this will cripple our educational system. So why is it that they were able to deal with it as if children are having a normal classroom work, whilst we at the other part of this world complain about the fact that we were not prepared? It means that something is wrong, and that what is wrong is how we respond to our social protection system. And if indeed we are so prepared, knowing that we are a welfare state for that matter, that must be integral part of the decision that we make, and there must also be integral part of the services that we provide, then we'll be able to meet some of these emergency issues that we find ourselves in. So for me, it's just an excuse to say that still we are in the planning process. Because if you have data and you know the number of children who are coming from the rural communities accessing secondary schools, and then you have data on the number of students that you have, and then the dynamics that associate with them, then you should be, this is not something that you have to plan. It's just a matter of invoking the strategies that will help you reach them. So the planning issue that you're talking about, for me, is a lack of information that is making them to speculate. It's just a mere speculation, but not a matter of their planning, because they don't have the information to even plan with. So
well, we've just been disconnected from that conversation, but also joining us via phone is Daniel Penny. He's Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service in the Ahanta West Municipality. Good morning to you, Mr. Penny. Thanks for your time. I'm not sure if you watched the story, but we're telling the story of children in your community who don't have access to the internet and so cannot catch up with the virtual learning that's ongoing. Has that come to your attention?
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Yeah, in the Ahanta West municipality, we have about 123 communities. Of course, there are some communities who have difficulty in terms of communicating and having access to the internet connectivity. But not having the internet connectivity should not, in actual way, prevent the children from having access to the e-learning, because the e-learning program that the Ministry of Education is doing together with the Ghana Education Service is in three forms. One is the GLTV program, which is being aired not only in GTV. You can have that one on DSTV, you can have that one on GoTV, you can have that one on Star Times. You can have that, even told by my public education I did last week on radio, I am told that even with the multi-TV decoder, when you rescan it, you can have access to it. So the internet connectivity model of the e-learning is only one aspect. It's only one aspect. It's only for those who want to go online to have access to
we do understand that, but are there other alternatives available today? Because there are other communities, that don't also have electricity, for instance, so you can't even talk about television.
Yeah, so the Ahanta West Directorate of Education, just as I said last week, we did some public education on the radio. We also appealed to some people who are around to also support this cause by the government, because even in our communities where people don't have access to internet connectivity, there are people who have access to this multi-TV, this Geo TV, this digital boxes I'm talking about. In some cases, we have even people who have DSTV, and during the English Premier League, they create a platform for people to go and watch the television. Those people were appealed to actually give access to our students for now, because when you go on DSTV channel 315, you have access so that the children can come there in the morning to come and go.
So if I understand clearly what you're saying, you're talking about a central point where the children can go and have access.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even that one, maybe there's a challenge with it, because if the children are even going there, we don't expect those children to be plenty, and the issue of social distancing will not be observed. That one is there. But even in our homes, in our communities, that is that. Putting that one aside, looking at the situation as it is now, we cannot say that we are bringing the children to a central point and give them lessons, because this is what we are all trying to prevent. So what we can do is the appeal and the collaboration with individuals and organizations within the municipality to help and give access to the children.
So what kind of supports? What kind of supports can individuals give?
Yeah, the kind of support can individual give is just as what I explained further. Even with the lesson which is being aired on television, I must be frank that there are some homes that you will go which they may not have access to this decoders I'm talking about. So if I am in a yard with you, you may have, I may not have. Just give an access to those who cannot have, to have access to the television so that they can also follow the lessons which is being aired on the television. This is the best way we can do, because as it stands now, we cannot bring children together and say that we are going to offer them a lesson. No, that one is it's not possible until there are new directives from our president calling us that this is that, or possibly we can go back. That's what we can do. This challenge you are telling me is not in isolation, because if you go across the country, in every area you have places where they don't have access to this internet connectivity. And let me even say this. The internet connectivity, the access to internet connectivity is only one aspect of the e-learning, because that is when, if you want to log on to www.icampusgh.com, that is when you want to actually use the internet connectivity. If you put that one aside, the television stations are around the government, has collaborated with some television stations, and I'm even glad to know that even on multi-TV, when you rescan it with the new ones, you will still have the GLTV on it to have access to the lessons.
Just before I let you go, I had a conversation with your colleague, Cassandra Chum Ampofo, who is in Accra, and she indicated that there are plans to migrate these lessons onto radio. Now, I want to ask specifically in your municipality, how helpful would this be?
Yes, that's why I said that it is three forms. We have the TV one, we have the radio one, and we have the online one. The radio one is what has not been started yet. And so when that one gets started, GBC is almost radio is across the nation. Even putting that one aside, if it becomes possible that some children in our community cannot access, we only have to link up with the local FM stations they can take it from GBC and it will go across our communities for all the children to have access to the radio lessons.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Daniel Pena. Let's go back onto Zoom because Bright Appiah is reconnected with us. Mr. Appiah, we lost you briefly there, but I bounced your idea of assessing, to shelve the BEC writing and use the continuous assessment onto the GS, and the PRO explained that the Ministry of Education had put together a team, and this idea was not totally off and that it was welcome. But can you explain this modality to us again, the use of the continuous assessment instead of writing the BECE?
All right. We looking at the situation that we find ourselves in. We were also looking at alternatives in terms of how those who supposed to write the BEC will be awarded certificate and then the WASI. And we realized that as part of awarding marks to students, continuous assessment plays a critical role. So you pick the BEC, for instance, 40% of the marks goes into determining the certification, and then for WASI, it is 30%. So if then they write the exams, then they run everything up to 100% so that they will determine what the student will get and all that. And looking at the situation that we find ourselves in, obviously it will be very difficult for us to assemble children that they should write their final exam to be able to add on to the continuous assessment for them to be awarded certificate. Also, we looked at various countries and what they are doing, and we realized that indeed one of the ways that they want to award certification to students has to do with the use of the continuous assessment. And even, for instance, if we pick the United States, for instance, they are not even talking about using the continuous assessment, but they are asking universities to rely on the continuous assessment to let students have access to education. UK did the same thing, and France even scrapped everything that concerned examination for now, which means that they are also going to rely on the continuous assessment. And in our case, the continuous assessment plays a critical role in determining the outcome of the certification. So now that we cannot write the exams, we are saying that government must consider using the continuous assessment as a means of awarding certification. And the question of credibility came in when we consulted some experts and all that, and trying to find out how we can do this. And our conclusion is that the main goal of education is long life learning. So if a child is able to do well with its continuous assessment, then that is where you can determine that the child is well prepared to face the reality of life outside the classroom and all that. So to depend on the continuous assessment is very, very important. And in doing that, we'd have to look at the predicted results of every single child for the past 3 years that the child has been in school, the homework that the child does, the classwork, even contribution in class. Then again, you look at the history of the school to be able to determine as to whether they deserve this particular mark. So for instance, in the WASI examinations, you realize that particular schools get certain results. So we are even saying that Ghana Education Service and WAEC must go back to look at the past 5 years history of every school to determine the number of people who pass exams every year in order to also set the standard for using the continuous assessment so that everybody will be covered. Again, we are also looking at the issue of equity because there are instances where some students may not be well during a terminal exam, so they may not have the opportunity to write the exams and all that, and that would also affect their continuous assessment. But there are schemes within the Ghana Education Service that also say that if a child is not feeling well and the child cannot write exams, there should be another alternative way of rewarding marks to the child and all that. So we are also looking at equity. And then equity also in the sense that there are certain schools that are located in certain rural communities that in terms of matching facilities, you cannot do that against other schools. So all these things must come to play to determine the kind of standard that we want to develop to ensure that all these students, when we use their continuous assessment, we will not cheat anybody or we will not disadvantage in any child. And for us, if they put all these things together, and with the work that they've done so far, I think that we can have credibility for the usage of the continuous assessment for awarding certificate for the BEC and then the WASSCE.
Just finally, WAEC has suspended the conduct of the WASSCE for school candidates. Is it surprising that we don't have a decision on the BEC yet?
Yes, of course. Once they have suspended the exams, in Ghana, WAEC is a body that we have sanctioned by law to carry out examinations. So once they have not given room for us to do that, then it means that that cannot be done. But the responsibility of ensuring that our children have a continuous education lies in the hands of government. So we have to decide.
Well, apologies there. Looks like we lost Mr. Bright up here again, but I guess largely his submissions has been made. So let's still stay with the subject a while longer. The Ghana Education Service says it is working to move the online and TV learning programs onto some radio stations to enable some school children take advantage of the distance learning program that's currently ongoing. PRO of the service, Cassandra Chum Ampofu, told me earlier on the AM show the move is in response to complaints from students and pupils across the country about their inability to access the programs due to various factors.
Of course, we have even submitted a letter to multimedia to give us a time. But just like the story, showed us, we also acknowledge that there are some who may not have television and access to internet, and that's the reason why we have also started discussions with some community radio stations so that at least they can have their radio. Even if you don't have electricity, you can have a radio that would probably use battery, or these days we have these solar radios. If you have one, you will be able to tune in and then listen. Yes, we acknowledge that, in fact, we never dreamt of this pandemic. It has just come to hit at us. And of course, we are all trying our very best to ensure that we take teaching and learning out there. But again, these are some of the challenges that are coming up, and management is really looking at it. But as I speak to you, we have gotten feedback from some local community stations, and we are very hopeful that very soon we would also migrate onto the radio online radio channel, so that we'll have our community people also getting access to teaching and learning. In the meantime, we have started with senior high school, and we'll soon add on the junior high school and then primary.
Okay, so that's Cassandra Chum Ampofu. She speaks for the Ghana Education Service, speaking earlier on the AM show. Later tonight, a second part of COVID-19 inside the treatment center will be broadcast on JoyNews at 6:30 p.m. Please don't miss it. Now, 12 out of the 16 regions in Ghana haven't confirmed COVID-19 cases. The Bono East Regional Minister has begun a monitoring tour of the region to check out the preventive activities taken by the municipal and district assemblies. The move, according to authorities, is to ensure that the people of the region would not be complicit in the fight against the pandemic. And Nas Sabit was part of the tour, came through with the following report.
Bono East region is one of 4 regions yet to record a COVID-19 case in Ghana. The region has, since the outbreak of the pandemic, taken 45 samples to the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, and 43 out of this figure had tested negative. This was revealed during a monitoring tour of the region by the Regional Minister, Honorable Kofi Amwakohene.
No confirmed case of COVID-19 has so far been recorded in the Bono East region. So far, 45 samples have been taken from suspected patients in the region and sent to KCCR Kumasi for testing, including contact of a confirmed case in the Upper East region. We should not embrace complacency and relax in our fight against the coronavirus, but continue to enforce the adherence to the precautionary measures.
The tour, which is on its first phase, was to monitor the activities of the various municipal and district assemblies in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Amakohene expressed satisfaction with the activities taken by the various assemblies visited.
I'm not surprised what we have seen today so far has been so very good from the 3 districts so far, and I think it's been very remarkable with the instructions that I have given already in place of the presidency, because we have a technical team up there directing the affairs of this COVID-19 fight.
On his part, District Chief Executive for Techiman North, Mr. Peter Mensah, indicated that as a district, awareness creation amongst the people has been key to the fight.
The key measures we put in place is the intensification of education and sensitization on the COVID-19. We have admonished the people to observe hygienic protocols.
He indicated that the district has identified a quarantine center, adding that the district is mounting strict surveillance on people who are visiting from infected regions.
We have identified our quarantine center, which has been equipped with the needed logistics before, during, and after the lockdown in the Greater Accra, Greater Kumasi. We've recorded about 138 people who have trooped into our district. Out of the 138, we have recorded about 113 people who were kept under surveillance, and as I speak to you now, within the 14 days, they never showed any symptom of the COVID-19. We have one person that showed serious symptoms of the COVID-19, but having taken the sample, the test has been ready and it has proven to be negative.
Mr. Amakohene, after inspecting the quarantine center for the Techiman North District, recommended for its consideration as the regional quarantine center.
I'm surprised to see such a beautiful premise. Look at the toilet facility, the urinals and other things. You saw it yourself and it's very good. And so I believe this is the solution that we are proponent for. And I'm even recommending that should be one of the national centers or the regional center. You saw me discussing with the chief, and I think we could adopt this place for that.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Chobodon.
Now, the month of Ramadan will be different this year for Muslims around the world. COVID-19 social distancing restrictions mean people cannot congregate to pray. Adherents of the Islamic faith cannot even be certain about the Eid al-Fitr celebration to climax the one-month-long fasting. JoyNews' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin tells the story of how a family is coping since the journey began on Friday.
Is the month of...
Little Muhtasim is curious about Ramadan. His father, Sheikh Muhammad Ridwan, is anxious about how the month-long spiritual exercise will go.
I have four days for leading people and Juma. I miss them because these 4 days, 4 Juma and 1 month in Ramadan, I use it to give people very good ideas about Islam and calling them to try and make charity work to help their brothers. But today, you can't get them to tell them. We are using radio station and not all the people are listening to radio station.
As Muslim tradition requires, healthy adults would have to abstain from food and water from sunrise to sunset.
During Ramadan, people come together, breakfast together. That's the most nicest part of Ramadan in Islam. But at this moment, you can't even get closer to your own relative because you don't know whether the person is infected with COVID-19 or not. So it has been very difficult because even in my house, when I see you coughing, I'll just run away from you. Even my father, because I'm scared I will get infected with COVID-19.
Distancing oneself from others due to COVID-19 poses an even bigger test of fate.
I hope for the best. I hope for the best. Inshallah, everything will be over for us to come back, and we have to just do the right thing. That is social distancing.
Amid the restrictions, Muslims are required to provide food and other needs to the less fortunate in the communities. Wife of Sheikh Ridwan, Barkisu Bawa Aransa, acknowledges the act of giving and sharing remain the true meaning of Ramadan.
So far, they are targeting about 5,000.
Today is the third day of Ramadan, and we have targeted 5,000 to give them food. Because of the social distancing protocol, we distribute to 30 people each day.
Every blessing they be how many parties? Until Ramadan.
From donation to orphans and poor, as well as COVID-19 relief, Muslims have been supporting efforts to contain the pandemic.
People will suffer. That's why
Sheikh Ridwan has donated over 150,000 worth of rice to needy persons.
To organize some help to the people, special to donate to them and go at their home, do it with their family. We target about 5,000 people.
Since congregational prayer and preaching are on hold, imams have resorted to local radio stations to reach their followers. A report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
That's still ahead. We've got business, and coming up, non-performing loans declined significantly to hit a little over 6 billion cedis ending February this year. Emmanuel Abuache Biafe brings us details of that.
Hello, good morning to you. Welcome to Business. We want to take you straight to Kumasi now, where there's a launch of the rapid test kit for coronavirus.
The infection by producing antibodies. So, if you're able to detect those antibodies, it tells you that there has been some infection in you. You don't necessarily have to find the agent itself. But that antibody, okay, represents the fact that you've come into contact with that agent, okay? And there are two different antibodies that are in play here. There's one antibody that is developed very early in the infection, recent infection. We call that immunoglobulin M, or IgM. And there's one that's the IgG. IgG tells you that if you've recovered from an infection, IgG will tell you that this person who has recovered has had the infection before, or has been exposed to the agents, the virus before. And both are very important when you need to determine the numbers of people who've been infected with this virus. It is not necessarily those who have been infected, but also those who have been infected and we know they are currently infected, but also those who have also been infected and not known they've had the infection, or who have also been infected and recovered from the virus. Okay, the current molecular-based or PCR technology will not tell you those who've been infected and are well. Okay, those who've been infected do not know they have the virus, or those who were infected symptomatically with symptoms, but they've all recovered and they do not know they had it, or they knew they had it. But PCR will not tell you, but an antibody-based test from its IgG will tell you that such a person has been infected and recovered from the infection. Like I said, all these numbers are important for us to know, so that we have a good idea of the number of people who've been infected, which will help all the infection control efforts that the country is making. So this rapid diagnostic test, or this antibody-based test, okay, comes to augment or complement what PCR testing has been doing already. It is not coming to replace PCR testing, okay, but it comes to augment what it has been doing, and it has its place in the whole diagnosis of coronavirus infection. In fact, the WHO has said that for surveillance purposes, when you're looking for people, you're testing mass people in the community, this contact tracing we are doing, this rapid diagnostic test has a place in that. But I want to say that in the whole gamut of coronavirus diagnostics, it comes to complement or augment what the PCR testing has been doing. And importantly, I mean, as we keep on hearing from the Minister of Information and the President himself, we need to ramp up testing. We need to ramp up testing. We need to try and test as many people as possible. Because if you don't test, you know those who've been infected. As you all know, some people are infected without even knowing they've been infected. So they may not even go on to seek care. But if you test them, okay, and they are infected, then you know what to do for them, whether they have symptoms or not. Okay, so ramping up testing, like we're doing for this contact trace, all these in the past, you know that when the lockdown came, one of the issues was that so that we could test as many people as possible. And a lot of samples came through to Noguchi and KCCR as well, okay? And the testing was delayed, okay? We've said that if you need to, when you test somebody, you need to be able to get results and act on the results immediately in real time. But if results are going to come back late, okay, it may delay, the results will be delayed, and which will mean that you may not want to put in place any measures you wanted to. Okay, so this is one place that this particular rapid test, which like you read from the piece, takes 15 to 20 minutes to do. Okay, we'll be able to tell the health authorities and everybody in real time what the test result is, so they can also act on it immediately. That's important. This development and manufacturing, like I said, fulfills two objectives that the President talked about in the country's fight to contain the spread of the virus and inspire the expansion of our domestic capability and deepen self-reliance. So we have our own scientists in this university with INCAS Diagnostics, having done the research and development for this, okay, and INCAS itself, okay, having manufactured, is in a position to manufacture and produce this test at scale. Okay, so this deepens local capacity or local capability, okay, and our self-reliance in the fact that we can do things as Ghanaians ourselves. There are a lot of opportunities that have come the way of industry and others during this epidemic. It has shown the resourcefulness in us as a country, okay, and the development and manufacture of this test kit, okay, shows likewise. As I said, the partners in this development have been researchers from the Department of Medical Diagnostics of this university, the Department of Clinical Microbiology. And here I want to say that I'm sitting here with the hat of a professor in clinical microbiology. I'm not sitting here with the hat of a provost of the college, as I was introduced by okay. I'll be leading the research team as a professor in clinical microbiology to go through this test. So it is in this capacity that I've been involved in this kit development. Then also there's been INCAS I've talked about, okay. And also there's a local company in Ghana, in Kumasi, Dex Technology. I'm sure some of you know them, Dex Technologies. In the wake of the whole coronavirus global outbreak and trying to source materials to produce this kit, it hasn't been easy. cassette. Let me have the cassette. It hasn't been easy getting materials because most materials, I want the one there. Most materials, the one who's open already. Because most materials have had to be sourced externally. This includes those cassettes. Okay, Incas used to procure from abroad into this country. Okay, but every country is struggling, and many industries are working on developing similar test kits. So these cassettes have been in short supply globally. So Incas reached out to Dex Technologies, which is, I said, is a local hardware manufacturing group in Kumasi, okay, who sat with him, went through developing the cassettes and printing it by 3D technology. Okay. One of the reasons why this whole thing has delayed is getting this. Okay. So it was a local company, Dex Technologies in Kumasi, that has designed and 3D printed this for use in this country. So this is part of the local capacity that has come into making this kit. Now, you've seen the test materials there. Okay. This may not be the final product. As said, this thing needs to go through regulatory approval. In Ghana here, it is the FDA, okay, that regulates these issues. The FDA does not only look at approving food or whatever, etc. It's also very important in medical devices. Okay, so the FDA is going to do some work on this to make sure that it works, it is fit for purpose, okay, before it can be used in Ghana here, okay. Importantly for us, the FDA works with developers as well. So if there are any issues with what you've brought, okay, the FDA will work with you through those so that the process is refined and you get a good product for the country. So it's important we are respecting FDA guidelines, and until they've gone through what their regulatory duties are, we cannot go ahead and market this as such. I want to say again to that, one of the things that also have delayed, we started this many months, in March thereabouts, okay, and we've used, there are 3 different rapid test kits that we've developed, okay. 2 of them, FDA is having a look at them now. Next week, they'll have the 3rd one, okay. They are all from different antigens. Okay, so there are 3 of these we are going to send to FDA for them to work on it, so we know how each of them performs. Okay, so that we'll further do some optimization if necessary, and then come out with the one that not only FDA is happy, but also the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service is happy. Throughout all this work, the investor in Incas has been in touch with the Ministry of Health, okay, and importantly, the National COVID-19 Response Team. Dr. Nsia Sari has been very instrumental. He's encouraged us daily along the line. Okay, he calls every day to find out what is happening to our test kit, because he knows we are doing this. And we've benefited a lot from the encouragement he has given us. Sometimes I think that he himself has had so much pressure from outside, so he puts the pressure on us. But whatever it is, he's giving us a lot of support in the development stages. So what is the next step? As I've said, this is going to go through the FDA. As Gadia Sautris said in his post yesterday, fingers crossed. Okay, but we are optimistic that this thing will be fit for purpose for us to use in this country. As said in the press release, there are many advantages of this kit, okay, in terms of our own efforts at containing COVID-19. we are also, in the future, it's one of the things we try to do is to try and develop these kits that we can use very close to the patients, okay, that can get us results in good time, okay. So the collaborators, INCAS and ourselves, are still also working on a PCR type-based test, okay, which can give us results in 45 minutes. Currently, your PCR test gives us how many? About
6 hours.
3 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
About 2 to 6 hours. That's why the current PCR gives results before those results have been transmitted. We are working on a rapid PCR diagnostic that can give us results in about 45, 50 minutes. It is still work in progress. Working with the Ghana Health Service, they've also told us that you quickly do this antibody test for us and then have a look at the PCR later, because there's already PCR test being used in the country. But we are looking at coming up with one that you can do in a shorter time than the current one. So we are grateful to all Ghanaians for the support and encouragement throughout the process. Importantly, as said, our Vice Chancellor has also been very encouraging in this. We also had to work with some external partners. Mologic company is a UK-based company that has been helping us in this development. You must have heard in the news about 2 or 3 days ago some story about Senegal, okay, in the development of this same type of test. Now, I told you there are 3 different antigens we used, 3 different tests we used. One of these, okay, the source material for doing this is from this UK company, Mologic. Okay, the other 2 we source them from China, but one of them is from Mologic, and it is the same antigen kit that Mologic has given to the Senegalese. Okay, that Senegal is using in its test development. Okay, I also want to say that we are basically ready with something that our regulatory authority is going to go through. Senegal hasn't reached that stage yet. Okay. When this thing is ready after optimization, we have a local company that will mass produce it. Okay. Senegal have to manufacture and produce its kits from the UK before they are trying to set up an industry locally that can do it. We in Kumasi here have INCAS who do that for the country. So let us all be grateful to God where we've reached now and the many ideas that have come in helping fight this epidemic. Importantly, as a university, I want to put out that there are many things we've been developing. Recently, our College of Engineering came out with an automated ventilator that could help our patients who have to be on ventilators. Our College of Art and Built Environment has also designed a nose mask and is mass producing it. Okay, and my own college, the College of Health Sciences, our Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, from the initial beginning, has been producing sanitizers, alcohol hand gels, alcohol hand wraps. Okay, and that is one of the best in the country. Most of the patients who've had to be taken care of in our hospitals, the care has been done by our consultants, okay, either from Farnochi Teaching Hospital or even at our own KNUST hospital there. The consultants have come from the School of Medicine and Dentistry here. Okay, all those who be involved in pharmacy practice, they all come from our Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences here. And the testing, you know, KGC has been one of the groups from this university which has helped in this testing. Okay, in the recent months, there's been so much to test that now part of the testing is being done from the Department of Clinical Microbiology. Some aspect of it is done from the Department of Clinical Microbiology of this university. Okay, and then it is continued at KCCR. And this morning, we've talked about this rapid test kit development, which has come from our Departments of Medical Diagnostics and Clinical Microbiology of this university. There's so much we are doing as a university, and it is our hope that we'll be giving the support to even do more in these times. So thank you all for coming. If there are any questions, I'll take them. Thank you.
Professor
that result much quicker than what we have in the system, and it's supposed to augment what we what's already in the system. And the good thing also is that this is locally produced, and it is as a result of collaboration between the university and industry. We want to thank you so much. We'll take questions quickly, and then try and find answers. So, if you have a question,
with regards to, I think you said we talked about this in that one. Yes, we heard that one is about $1. What's the cost of this situation?
We can't give you, both Incas and us cannot give you the cost of a device at this time. Like I said, there are 3 different antigens we've used. Okay, 2 that have been procured from China, and 1 that has come to us from Mologic, the UK company that has been supporting the Senegalese. Now, Mologic has over a £1 million grant from the UK government to support African countries in this development. Okay, and when Senegal says it will do it at $1 or £1, it is due to the support that they'll be getting from Mologic. If that is the antigen eventually we settle on after FDA's regulatory workup, then the price of a test will be low. Okay, but if that be one that you need to procure from any other place, then obviously the price will be different. But I can't lay my hands on the fact that this is how much it is going to cost, or that much that one is going to cost. Thank you.
And the second one has to do with the specificity. How will this be how specific, how the quality of evidence, where would you go?
And these are all some of the issues that the
hello.
will come out and tell us.
Okay.
No medical device is perfect. And it depends on what you want to use it for. Okay. If you want to use it to rule in an infection, then there's certain sensitivity you want. If you want to rule out infection, there's a certain sensitivity that you want. In our discussions with the Ghana Health Service, they gave us some idea about what they want. Okay, and essentially we will need to do it on the FDA.
Okay.
What else would be? And then, if necessary, it is all about optimization. You don't produce a test kit today and then it goes like that. You always need to optimize it. You need to find out how much antigen you need to put on the straight. You need to find out